Reading was really difficult for me. I was kind of sad that I couldn't read chapter books because all of my friends were recommending me books that I should read. But deep down, I knew that I couldn't really read it.
She will come home extremely frustrated. She'll be very, very scared. I will literally see her come in her room and shut her door. First thing that will go to a parent's mind, you just don't want to do the work. But you got to look past that and ask the why questions. Why does it frustrate you?
Don't ever doubt yourself because you have a disability. You just see things a bit different than everybody else, and that's totally fine.
Hello and welcome to In It, a podcast for families with kids who learn and think differently.
Here you'll find advice, camaraderie, stories of successes and, yes, sometimes failures from experts and from parents and caregivers like you.
I'm Gretchen Vierstra, a former classroom teacher and an editor here at understood.org.
And I'm Rachel Bozek, a writer, editor, and mom who has definitely been in it. Today, we want to get a sense of what it's like to have dyslexia through the eyes of a kid.
Caris is 15 years old. Before she was diagnosed with dyslexia, she spent a lot of time comparing herself to others and feeling like there was something wrong with her.
It's been a long journey for her and for her family to understand why certain things are a lot harder for her than for other kids.
Caris is one of the teens featured in Through My Eyes, a free online immersive platform where you can experience the world through the eyes of 3 kids with ADHD, dyslexia, and dyscalculia.
We are so happy to speak with her and her father, Kevin, today about what her dyslexia journey has been like. Caris, Kevin, welcome to In It.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Caris, maybe we can just start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself. What grade are you in, and what are some of your interests?
So I'm going to the 10th grade. I start school next week.
Any interests you want to tell us about, things you're really into?
I had just joined a dance team. I've been on it for a year now with my brother, Kier.
Cool.
I do all types of dance, hip-hop, contemporary, lyrical, jazz, tap, everything.
Sounds really fun.
It is. It's really fun.
Well, we're really excited to talk to you today. And as you know, one of the things we want to talk about is dyslexia. And so my first question for you is just to think way back when you were younger. When did you first start to notice that things might be a little harder for you than other kids?
I think I first started to notice when I had to get extra help from a teacher, and they had to keep coming over to me, asking me if I understood certain questions, because they didn't really go to every other student doing the same thing. So I think that's when I kind of understood why am I having the teacher have to come over to me so many times.
And what grade was that in? Do you remember?
2nd grade.
So I take it in 2nd grade you were already doing some reading then.
Yes.
And so how was that for you?
Reading was really difficult for me in 2nd grade. I used to read a lot of pictured books. I loved pictured books because I was a visual learner. I still am. So seeing pictures helped me understand what was going on in the book. I didn't really read chapter books because it was hard for me to read personally, because I used to get my B's and D's and Q's and P's mixed up because I would see them backwards. And seeing long words and big words, for me, I was just I don't think I could read any chapter books because it was just a bunch of words. In chapter books, there's not really pictures. So I just read picture books for a very, very long time.
I'm assuming you started to see maybe some of your friends or classmates start to read what may have looked like more advanced books and you weren't. So how did that feel for you?
I was kind of sad that I couldn't read chapter books because all of my friends were recommending me books that I should read. And of course I'd say, oh yeah, I'll totally read that. But deep down, I knew that I couldn't really read it. It was very frustrating because my brother was reading chapter books too. So I was so my friends are reading chapter books and my brother's reading chapter books, and I'm the only one who's reading a picture book.
Yeah.
So I was kind of down.
Kevin, when all of this was going on in these early years, What do you remember about it? What were you noticing with Caris about things she might have been struggling with?
Well, like she said, I remember her always saying, okay, Dad, is this a B? Is this a P? She will always get those confused. And we had to find a way where either we say, okay, the one with the head is the P, the one with the belly is the B. So that's where it started. She will come home extremely frustrated, especially when it's a new book. She'll be very, very scared. Like, Dad, I have this book to read. I don't want to read it in front of people. And I mean, I will literally see her like come in her room and shut her door. And she just doesn't want to talk. I already knew what it was. It's just the embarrassment, because she's like, they're going to pick on me because I lose my space. So it was kind of hard for both me and my wife to see her go through that. She would like not want to speak in public because she's like, Dad, if I speak out, I'm not going to know what I'm saying and I'm going to get confused. So it made her very, very self-cautious.
When did it occur to you to kind of look into like, maybe this is more than just a little struggle with reading. Maybe this is a learning disability.
A little context, my older brother has dyslexia. I think like in the early 70s, I mean, we're talking like 71, 72, they really weren't testing for that disability. So he kind of went through school without knowing. But what it was is that I noticed when my brother and I would like read certain things and he'll ask for my help, I started noticing Caris was doing the same thing my brother was doing when she was like in the second grade, third grade. And I'm like, you remember how you always ask me questions? Caris is doing the same thing. He's like, well, I don't know. He's like, you might want to get her tested. So I just, went to the teachers, my wife did, and like, okay, she's struggling in this area. And the teachers agreed. And that's when they decided to get her tested.
And did you all as a family worry or talk about the label that might come with a disability? This is something we talk a lot about on our podcast with lots of people and lots of families. Did that occur to you, or were you just like, we got to just move forward with this no matter what?
It's funny that you asked that question, because the number one thing she was worried about was like, Dad, they're going to think I'm lazy because I'm Black. And they're going to say that I'm not concentrating, and that they're going to want to put me in, a ESL or a special ed. And they're saying that I'm not trying. So we were really worried about that stigma. And the schools that they go to, they're pretty accelerated. They're, a lot of the kids learn at a fast pace. So the last thing Caris wanted was like, I don't want them to label me as slow. I want to be able to keep up with the other kids. So being in an accelerated school, that label, we were afraid. And we were not so much the kids, but we were afraid how the teachers was going to label her.
I remember always telling my parents that I didn't want to be labeled as slow, like my dad said. Because throughout all of my schools, me and my brother have kind of only really been the Black kids in our class. We weren't like always surrounded by a lot of Black kids in our school. So I didn't want to be the Black girl who didn't do her work, who was slow, who was lazy, who didn't want to have to ask the teacher over and over and over to figure out what I was doing. So I was always telling my dad I didn't want to be slow. I want to be a normal student. I always thought I wasn't normal because I had to get extra help. Why am I the only girl in my class who needs to get extra help?
That's so much.
It's a little something, I guess.
That's one way to put it.
It's so funny because my favorite class is English. I love English so much now. I get that from my dad, though, because I like writing.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. Caris, how old were you when you got diagnosed with dyslexia?
I was about 8 years old.
And how did they explain it to you at that time?
So I remember I had to go get tested in a room. It was me and 2 other teachers. And they had given me like a little flap book and it had words on it. And then they said, you're going to take this little test. And so I did. And then it took like about a couple of days for them to get back to my mom and my dad about it. And then my dad had told me beforehand, he was like, you're going to go to school today and your teacher is going to tell you something very important. It's just, I want you to be brave and I want you to be strong about it. It's not something for you to be disappointed in yourself. And I was kind of confused. I was like, you're giving me a motivational speech right now. So they told me that I have a different way of learning. And they told me that when I read, I see my letters a different way than everybody else does. And they told me that I just need a little bit of help with the specific aspect of reading and writing. And they were like, it's not something for you to like feel discouraged about. It's just that you learn a different way and you see things a different way.
Once you got this diagnosis, what changed for you at school? What kind of supports do you remember getting? What were some of the first things that really helped you out?
After they told me everything, I started going back to that class every day. And I would be there for about 30 minutes. And for that 30 minutes, we would just do reading and I would just do writing. And they told me that I could take breaks in between if I wanted to. They told me that I'll be getting extra support in class, like extra help. And that if I didn't understand something, they would give me like something a bit more easier for me to do.
Do you remember any specific strategies they taught you right away that really helped?
I think the one strategy they told me was reading with like a pencil, or they told me to like highlight where I'm reading so that I know I've read that sentence, or get like a ruler and like read along the ruler.
Kevin, what do you understand now about how Caris learns and thinks that maybe you didn't understand when she was younger? And do you feel like you understand how her brain works?
The true, honest answer to that question, I think I learned more about her disability through this project. Just actually hearing it out of Caris's mouth, because we got the technical terms from teachers, but just to hear her struggles and hear through her eyes how it works, that's when I got the clear understanding. Like, there was some things that came out of this project that I didn't even know, like certain things that she said. I'm like, wow, I didn't know she felt that way. She didn't tell me that. She's very sensitive, and being sensitive, she keeps some things to herself. But in doing this project, she was able to just focus on her and what she went through, and she didn't have to hold back because they just like, yeah, let it all out. Tell us everything. You're helping other kids. And so when she realized that, oh, I'm helping kids that are just like me, she didn't hold back. And then that's how I learned, like, wow, okay, so that's what it really is.
Can you give us a couple of examples of things you learned through this project that were news to you?
Just the idea how she felt about being slow and how that really affected her. Because it's one thing about Caris is she's very upbeat and she encourages everyone. Her teachers would tell she's always encouraging her classmates, things like that. So it's like, man, who was her cheerleader? She'll get that from me and her mom, but I'm like, man, while she was at school, she didn't really have a cheerleader.
All right, so Caris, like your dad said, you're so upbeat and so positive, and that really comes through in the video and everything you've done with us. And I know you've talked about having friends. So how much do your friends know about your dyslexia and understand about your dyslexia?
I was really nervous to tell them at first because I didn't want them to think, oh, she's slow. I don't want to be friends with somebody who can't like keep up with me. So I waited a very long time until I told my friends. I waited, I think, until maybe 5th grade until I told them. And they were really, really, really supportive of it. And they would help me a lot too. So I've been through a lot with them. I know all of them since elementary school. All of my friends now are still from elementary school. And I'm getting more friends in my high school. And I'm friends with a bunch of people on my dance team. So they're all really, really supportive of me.
That's so great to hear.
So we know that dyslexia doesn't just go away, even though there are things you can do to make learning and other processes easier. Does it still frustrate you sometimes?
Yeah, I think it frustrates me the most when I can't spell a certain word. Like especially if we're like trying to write down what the teacher's writing down on the board. And like everybody's like already knows how to spell the word, and I have to keep looking up and down to like know how to spell it. I think that's what frustrates me the most, but I've gotten better with not seeing my letters backwards. I think I'm still struggling with spelling. So it frustrates me a little bit, but I know that I have the support. I just got to push through it, is what I say to myself.
All right, we're going to go back to you, Kevin. So now that you're where you are today and you're here doing this project, what advice do you have for parents or caregivers who may be noticing that their child is struggling at school or at home with things that seem to be easier for other kids?
Okay, I think with parents, caregivers, you're going to go through an emotional roller coaster because no one wants to see their child struggle. And
Yeah.
you're seeing that your child struggle and you're trying to find ways, the last thing you're going to go to is, oh, there may be a disability there, because I think the stigma with the word disability is different, and you're going to be treated different or seen different. And every parent wants to give their child an even playing field. So my thing is, don't be so emotionally charged with it. Take a step back. And the number one person that can tell you exactly what they're going through is the child. You need to listen to the child. I mean, you'll be very surprised what a 7-year-old will tell you on how he feels or how she feels about doing an assignment. When Caris would tell us about how the reading, it frustrates her and things like that, the first thing that will go to a parent's mind, oh, you just don't want to do the work. You're being lazy. You can't be like that. But you got to look past that and say, okay, ask the why questions. Why does it frustrate you?
Yep.
What about it that you don't understand? Why do you hate that class? Don't be so quick to just, go to, oh, they're just being lazy and they don't want to go to school. You gotta ask the why questions. That's the first step.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
So, Caris, do you have any advice for other kids who may have gotten a diagnosis of dyslexia?
I would like to say that don't ever doubt yourself because you have a disability, and don't ever think that you're not enough and you're less than what you are. You just see things a bit different than everybody else, and that's totally fine. So I just want to let everybody know that it's not always a bad thing to have a disability. It's also a good thing because it makes you stronger and it makes you want to learn more about yourself.
That's awesome.
Okay, this is our last question for you, Caris. What are you excited about for this year in high school?
I'm excited that I'm able to be a sophomore and that I passed my freshman year. I'm excited that I will be able to make new friends this year. I think I'm mostly excited for my drama class, auditioning for plays.
Ooh.
I think the one thing I want to do is make not only my parents proud, my family proud, but my grandparents proud. I miss them so much, but I want to be able to show them that I'm able to still be their granddaughter that they're very proud of. And that if they're looking down at me, they know I'm doing good, and that they know that I can still get my good grades even with dyslexia.
Well, Caris and Kevin, thank you so much for talking with us today. It's been such a pleasure. And I think that people hearing your story firsthand through my eyes and through this podcast is really going to help everybody better understand and empathize when it comes to having learning and thinking differences. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was so great to meet both of you.